First of all, it's really good to go on the road and get a win, and I was very happy with the way our team traveled and how we ended up performing in the game. Looking at the game, one of the things that obviously went very well for us was we were able to get a lot of turnovers in the first half, starting off with a big interception by Mike Betts. But more importantly, is we capitalized on those turnovers. We were able to get some quick strikes and some big scores and get out to a nice lead. And then eventually carry that over into being up 30-0 at halftime, which was a very impressive start by our team, and very happy about the way that our guys performed from that standpoint. It's hard when you're out of a rhythm and you're not confident, and you come out with a plan to try to be able to run the ball or to do something, and that gets taken away from you, and then all of a sudden you have to try to convert on a third down. You get an interception or we get a strip, and and our guys were really active getting after the football. So when you get a team out of rhythm like that and you're playing well and you're confident, that's obviously goes a huge or goes a long way in terms of your success on the field. Again, like I said, like to continue that success in the second half and continue that domination. Sustain it for 60 minutes. But again, overall, I was very happy with that. From an offensive standpoint, again, when you take a look at our offense, we're starting to get people stepping up in a lot of different directions from a lot of different folks. Again, Jordan Jansen had a big game with over 100 yards in receiving. We've had Ben Hartley that's had a 100-yard plus game in receiving and scored a couple of touchdowns in this game and threw one. You have Jake Wenzlick, who we know is obviously very dynamic. He was one of the, he had an over 200-yard receiving game this year, and now our tight ends started to step up and get a couple of big receptions. So you start balancing out your offense and being able to spread the ball around. That gives you a lot of opportunities to go down, put points on the board, move the ball, get first downs, because there's so many ways that you can attack and get first downs. And, that all matters as you go down the road, as you get ready for games. Well, one of the things that you always talk about is belief, and you talk to your players all the time about believing in what it is that your offensive staff is putting in place for you, and that you can execute, that they believe as an offensive staff that you can successfully execute against the team you're playing against, and believing in that. It is the same way on the defensive side of the ball, believing in the calls that your defensive staff is putting together for you, and then going out there and aggressively executing it. And that's something we talk about all the time, is aggressively execute what it is that you're being coached to do all week. And I think right now our kids are really grabbing a hold of that and gravitating towards it, and we're having success because of it, and that needs to continue. And it always starts with good practices. So if we go out and we prepare the way we can with good practices, you give yourself the best chance to win on Saturday. Ashland always been traditionally a very good football team, and so when you take a look at their team, they're usually pretty stout up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. Traditionally, they have very good skill people. They're recruiting, they tend to get a lot of the better players in the state of Ohio in Division II, so they always have a very strong football team from that standpoint. Their coaches come from Division I, have been at Division I programs, so they come with a lot of good coaching experience, a lot of years of coaching experience, so they're well coached. They're very good on special teams, so you're just going to go play a team that's consistently solid. Almost every year they're consistently ranked as a top 25 team at some point in time. So a very good football team that certainly always has a lot of confidence in their ability to be able to play at home and win. With that being said, we have to have confidence in what it is that we've done at this point in time and what it is that we can do, and be ready to go down there and travel well and come back with a W. Well, I think the key thing, anytime that you start well, if you get off to a lead, that gives you flexibility in terms of the things that you can do from an offensive standpoint. When you have the lead, your playbook is wide open to you. You can run the ball, you can pass the ball, you can play action, you can do all those types of things. When you're behind in a football game, and especially if you're down by a couple of scores, that tends to switch how it is that your mentality is, and maybe limits you a little bit. So I think one of the key things is, number one, don't, never panic from that standpoint and just continue to play your game. But always, if you can get off to a fast start, that leaves a lot more opportunities out there for your team to do very varied things. And the same way defensively. If we can get off to a fast start and we get 3 and outs and we get the ball back to the offense to give them opportunities to go down and score, that obviously puts you in the best position from a standpoint of maybe getting that other team to say, hey, maybe we can't run the ball as much as we want to, or do some of those things that maybe they wanted to do going into the game. You get them out of their game plan.